All right, let's get right to the heart of Mitch Albom. A little book called Tuesdays with Morrie, the most successful memoir of all time. It spent 4 years atop the New York Times bestseller list. And the mega-selling ride for Mitch began 17 years ago, back when he was, by his own admission, cynical and materialistic. A workaholic sports writer with little time for personal reflection. Then Mitch reunited with his former professor, Morrie Schwartz, in the last months of Morrie's life. Mitch turned their weekly conversations about life and how to live it into what became a publishing phenomenon. Oprah liked it too. She made Tuesdays with Morrie into an Emmy-winning TV movie.
My old buddy, you came to see me at last.
Since Morrie, Mitch has become a brand name in feel-good books that inspire, the ones that tug at the old heartstrings. And even if he hasn't always had the critics on his side, books like The 5 People You Meet in Heaven have connected with millions.
There are no random acts. We are all connected.
His latest is called The Timekeeper. It's a novel, well, it's a fable, actually, about time and how to make it count.
Sort of my invention of the Father Time legend.
Please welcome back to the program our friend Mitch Albom. Hello, man. Good to see you. How's things? Thank you. Welcome back to the show.
Thanks. Thank you. Good
to
see you again.
Too. You know, some of the books come from really personal experiences with you. In this particular one, just the concept of appreciating time, you know, was the idea thrown towards you, or did you dig it out somewhere?
Well, no, I think it comes basically from getting older. And, you know, I've reached that age now where my parents have grown ill. I've watched them go from robust people to, you know, really needing to be taken care of. And I think I've just given a lot of thought to looking over my shoulder at how I've spent my time instead of just looking forward and what I'm going to do. So it seems like everybody I know is kind of infatuated with time, and they're always, you know, watch, computer, phone. And I thought, well, it's probably a good subject for a book. Let me try that.
So you've got this character who is trapped and wants to be freed, and he has to deal with two different people, one who wants to commit suicide and one who wants to live forever.
Yeah.
Both different relationships with time.
Yeah. Well, I figured there must have been some stretch where we didn't look at our watches because we didn't know what time was.
Well, look what he showed
so,
up with.
Yes. I went back to when, and this is how long we have, George, by the way. This is it, okay? When this is out, we're done, okay?
Wait, if I look at all those sand crystals, you think that's an hour, right?
They say it's an hour, so
right.
Yeah. If I'm still here when this is running out, we're talking way too long for your show.
Let's put it here so it doesn't break.
Okay.
All right.
But I basically came up with the idea to invent a character who was the first person on Earth to ever begin to measure time. First person to put a stick in the ground and measure a shadow, and he ruined it for all of us. You know, from that point forward, man started to count time, and of course, once you start counting down. So in my book, he gets punished, and he's banished to a cave for inventing time, and he has to live in this cave forever, listening to all the voices of all the people that come after him complaining about time.
Well, in life, so many people they're engaged in that conversation with themselves and their family about how to become more efficient with their time. And that's the question they keep asking. Is that the wrong question to ask?
It is. It's the way wrong question. I know people who have been efficient with their time into their 80s and 90s, and you'd be loath to come up with one good thing they've done for anybody, except be efficient. And I've seen other people who are taken way too young, you know, teenagers, whatever, and they affect the whole world because of how they live. You know, there's a moment in the book that's kind of the essence of it, where this Father Time figure says to this old man who wants to come back and freeze himself, he says, look, there's a reason that your days are limited on Earth. And the guy can't imagine why. He says, what reason could there be? And the answer is to make each one of them precious. And if you think like that, you take a whole different view about time and efficiency and all the rest of it. Suddenly you say, well, wait a minute. The reason we don't get to live forever, which is what we're all trying to do, is because if we live forever, nothing would matter. It is a conundrum, George. I mean, and look, it's the biggest one we have. You know, are we leading a meaningful life? It's, you know, I'm not trying to get big on this, but this is what we struggle with all the time, and time is a huge part of that.
Let me go through 2 moments in time in your life. Let's go way back in this picture here. Who's this?
Oh, my God. Where did you get that?
Look at that, eh?
That is a high school band of mine called the Lucky Tiger Grease Stick Band. We greased our hair back and sang 1950s rock and roll music. I don't grease my hair back quite like that anymore.
How old were you in that band?
16.
16 years old?
Yeah.
You just turned 50, right?
I just turned 54.
54. Let's look at this then from your 50th.
Yeah, well, this is that same band, and First of all, I'm going to find out how you broke into my house and stole my home movies, but that's a whole other thing. This was one of the best days of my life. For my 50th birthday, we used to rehearse. That band used to rehearse in the basement of my house. And so, oh God, please don't clap. It was awful.
Okay, so.
But that band used to rehearse in the basement of my house.
Yeah.
And for my 50th birthday, my wife said to me, what do you want for your 50th birthday? What kind of party? I said, you know what? I don't want any kind of party. If you really asked me, I'd go back and rehearse with my old band in my old house. We went back to my old neighborhood. Someone else now lives in the house. We stopped in front of the house. I got out, and they came out like, what do you want? What do you want? And I said, I'm sorry, I used to live here. Hey, aren't you that Mitch Albom guy? I said, yeah. They said you used to live here. We didn't believe them. Well, long story short, they ended up inviting us in. They let us have the house back for the day. I got all the guys that I used to be in this band with. Right. We went down in their basement. We moved all our equipment back in, and we had a rehearsal like we used to do again 30-something years later, made all the noise, greased our hair back. It was just for us, and apparently now for all of Canada.
That's right.
But it was supposed to be just for us, and it was it was the greatest birthday I've ever had.
But turning 50, we keep you hit a 30, you hit a 40, you hit a 50, and people keep looking at you like it's a marker, because it kind of is. So how did you feel? But it really puts time into context for you when you hit 50, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Did you start to deal with it differently?
Yes. I think the 5 in front of your digit changes. 4 is 4. You can 5 is like. But I have taken a different attitude towards this, probably because of Tuesdays with Morrie and other things where I have seen the delight of being old. I've seen the gift of getting old and being able to share the wisdom you have when you're old with younger people. And I am not running away from it, and I'm not ashamed to get older. I'm looking forward, if I'm given the blessing, to actually reach it, to try to revel in it. Because I've met people like Morrie and the Reb and other people like that I've written about who did revel in their age. So when I turned 50 and I went to that rehearsal and got everybody back together, I didn't go, oh, I wish I could do this every day of my life. Because, the fact is, I wouldn't have wanted to do it every day of my life. First of all, we stink. And who wants to hear that kind of music every day of your life?
If you listen to the radio, bro, there's a lot of that on the radio.
But secondly, it's doing it once makes it special. Doing it every day is like, wait a minute, there's a time to be 18 or 16, there's a time to be 50. And if you can be comfortable in your own skin, it's a great gift.
You hit the word, hope is the key to life, isn't it?
It is for me. Without it, somebody tried to make fun of me once in a review and said, he's the king of hope. And I thought, what a compliment, I mean, I know you didn't mean it that way, but what an amazing compliment. Yeah, you can tag that line on me all the time. I don't know how people get through life without it.
Because hope removes ego from the equation. Hope lets yourself off the hook. Hope allows you just to be there. Did you have to learn to get there?
Oh, yeah. I'm still learning how to get there, There are some days I get swallowed up by my own problems, and like everybody else, and there are days that I despair, but I see how people have gotten through so much worse than I've had to deal with. When you sit with ALS patients and they can't move, and like Morrie had to turn his head from side to side, and yet he wanted to wake up the next day. He didn't just want to end it, he wanted to be there. When you talk to people who have survived wars or prison camps or things like that, and you say, how did you get up the next day? How did you keep opening your eyes? Hope. Because I thought maybe tomorrow something will happen. If people can get through those kind of circumstances, then how can my problems possibly be?
Well, you're in Haiti all the time now.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of work in Haiti.
That's a good eye-opener, too. We got involved in an orphanage down there.
You didn't just get involved, man. You run it.
Well, we operate it now. I saw it after the earthquake, and late in 2010, we took over the daily operations of it. And I'll tell you, the most moving thing I do there, George, and there's a lot of different tasks, is I sit with the people who want to bring us their children.
Is this the stem from the stuff with Morrie?
Yeah.
Like, you were donating money, and he said that's not good enough?
You have an excellent memory. That was from our first interview. Yeah. He said, what do you do for charity? And I say, I write checks. And he said, anybody can write a check. You have a voice. You need to use your voice and galvanize people and do something more. And guilt is a very powerful motivator, and I've been guilted into action ever since.
More with Mitch Albom right after this. All right, up next.
I'm Mitch Albom, author of Tuesdays with Morrie.
Ever heard of you?
Yeah, sure you haven't.
We'll find out how Mitch connects to The Simpsons. Then stand-up comic, writer on this show, rad dude all around, and what a beard. Fraser Young faces off with the panel.
Tonight on the show, we're talking about hockey and what we're going to do if it doesn't come back. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of getting tired of the whole thing anyway. Like right now, I'm really into like labor management talks, you know? There's these whole deadlock things in there, like boom, whoa, arbitrator, take it out of the knee. So intense.
Hey, Abe, great stories. I'm Mitch Albom, author of Tuesdays with Morrie.
Never heard of you.
Yeah, sure you haven't.
Take a hike, Hollywood. I've already got a college boy to turn my every word into syndicated gold.
Yeah, beat it, sports page.
And what if I don't?
Back with Mitch Albom, there's a moment in The Simpsons. It's nothing made me more popular with my teenage nieces and nephews. Not any one of the books I've written than that right there. I like self-deprecating stuff.
Obviously, Tuesdays with Morrie and the Heaven book, like you get to reach this, you ascend to this place in pop culture, being on The Simpsons. What's your relationship now like with that book, with Tuesdays with Morrie?
Well, I never forget that nobody really wanted to publish that when it first came out. It was hard to find a publisher. It was supposed to be a tiny little book, and I only did it to pay for his medical bills.
Watching your folks struggle as they have physically, I mean, as your dad got older, do you relate to him differently?
You know what happens inevitably if you get to live long enough and your parents get to live long enough, the roles get reversed and you become the parent. And my parents, who took such good care of me, are now at a stage where I have had to, and it was difficult, but now I do it, undress them, wipe them, dry their tears, blow their noses, feed them, help put them into bed. And at first you're uncomfortable with all that. And if I hadn't gone through it with Morrie, I probably would have been worse. But then you have to remind yourself, this is the circle of life. They did it for you, and now it's time that you do it for them. And there is some beauty in that if you can get past the sort of unnerving part of it. Right.
Good to see you, man.
Great to see you, George. Thank you so much for having me.
Good job, everybody. Timekeeper is the end of the book. We'll be right back.